Good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome all of you to the Fireside Chat 2.0. This is our second season of the Fireside Chat, and we are extremely proud to say that we were able to launch and we were able to continue and keep the consistency up and running as far as our all manufacturing's um, most interesting flagship event, Fireside Chat. Because on this platform we had numerous leaders and CEOs and vice presidents, people from the Gemba coming and talking about their experiences, their best practices, and how they were able to achieve what they achieved. And in that order, today we have yet a what do I say, a set of speakers or leaders uh, who will take us to a totally different level, is what my intuitions are telling me. With Chino, as we very fondly call him, Chino as the moderator, we can't expect anything lesser than that. And Geetha, having been in the industry for more than it's about more than 3 decades, if my memory is right, Geetha. She's been in the power business, power woman, power business, 3 decades, and young Narmatha from the engineering background of Microsoft America. I'm sure we're going to have a very progressive conversation on how the world of work for women is going to look like in the new scenario. Over to Sparsha to introduce our leaders today. Sparsha? Sparsha? Yeah. Sparsha, is there a glitch? I think there was a technical glitch for Sparsha. She's coming back.
Okay.
There was a shutdown at her area today.
Wow.
Yeah, Sparsha, we can't hear you still. I think you have to increase the volume. Sparsha? Sparsha, are you speaking? We are not able to hear you. Chinu, can you hear? Geeta,
Nope.
can you hear?
No.
Nope.
So,
It's
Sparsha, we are
okay.
not able to hear you, but you can probably navigate the slides.
It's
I think
okay.
she's in. Yeah. Thank you, Sparsha. Over to you, Chino.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure, privilege, and honor to be here and given the somewhat onerous responsibility of moderating a panel. And I hopefully will be able to ask some intelligent questions. Um, I come from a background of business, and today I'm a coach, and I work extensively with people in startups, and also have a fair number of women clients, so to say. So I'm able to understand a little of the challenges that they have been facing, and hopefully that will be useful today. So I'm going to just request Geeta and Narmada to just start off with some opening remarks in terms of what their thoughts are on how women are progressing. I personally believe that women are the single most important power that makes the world go round. In our Indian culture, they say Shakti, right? And Shakti is what makes creation possible. Shakti is what makes everything possible, right? And so I'm just going to ask Narmada and Geeta to chip in with their views in terms of what they believe is the role of women in the workplace today and what they see as the future for women in the workplace, given all the challenges that we are facing today. And then we probably can get into some specifics in terms of some questions that I've been able to put together, and probably we can then have a chat around that. Is that okay? So over to you, Geeta.
Thank you, Rajani, for being part of this wonderful program. I'm so happy to share with Narmata and, of course, the happiness coach Chinu. As far as women are concerned, I think one side we are talking about they are all empowered, and the other side the problems still remain the same. I mean, still I feel that compared to years, we are definitely progressing. We can be optimistic and positive about it, but the challenges are there, and the challenges keep changing. So we have to adapt ourselves to the new challenges. So the word challenges remain the same, but only thing is that challenge which comes under that category keeps changing. So that's my starting remark. I think Narmada, I would like to hear from you.
Thank you, Geeta. That is absolutely true. Um, for me, women have come a long way from how they've evolved themselves into um, working a full-time job, and also being there for their family, for their kids and for their parents. And I think the sometimes they are the most undervalued set of folks about the things that they can handle. And like Chinu said, Shakti, right? How many arms does she have? So it's all the amazing multitasking that she brings to the table, which is something that we should just keep in front of our minds as we start this conversation.
Super stuff. I think, very, very crisp and on point. Thank you very much, Geetha and I think we don't know how many people are watching us on YouTube and how many people have logged in. So I'm going to be, in a certain sense, we're going to be asking some questions and we're going to be speaking about a few things blind, so to say. So I think very useful to begin right at the beginning. And my question, Narmada, to you is, what do you think, if you were able to give one piece of advice to people starting off, especially women who are starting off their careers, regardless of what kind of field they are in, at the beginning of their careers, if there is one piece of advice you'd give them, and that would make a huge difference to how their career shapes up, what would that be? And if you could expand on that, that would be great.
Oh, definitely. Um, it is not easy, right? Like from the time students take on a career and then they start their career in a workplace, it is very typical for all of us to be so much protected when they are at home, and you have your family, you have your parents that take care of your needs, and then you're moving into a career phase where you're on your own suddenly. And so one of the things that I would think it would be helpful as they start their career is be brave and ask questions. Ask as many questions as you can. However simple it may sound in your head, or however stupid it may sound in your head. Sometimes you find that the simple questions are the most effective ones you bring to the table. And because you're a starter, you're starting your career, you have that leverage to be okay to say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and ask the most simple questions that probably others in the room have, but don't have the courage to ask it out loud because it sounds simple in their heads. So use that to your advantage as long as you can, and be curious. Um, be always learning, because there's so many things that you are pushed onto as you start your workplace. And the most important thing is to take credit and accept praise, right? Because we all have a tendency to say, "Oh, that was a small thing." When someone says you've done a good job, and then you say, "Oh, that was nothing," so like, do not write it off as nothing, because that work that you've put in means you've put in your efforts, and you've actually thought about how to execute it, and you've actually taken the step to see it to be successful. So take credit. And that is a few things that you can actually kick off your career.
Absolutely. Ask questions, be curious, be ever learning, and take credit when it's due. I absolutely resonate with that, especially in India, when we are told that somewhere along the line we are told, don't think too much of yourself. And I sort of, it becomes a downer, right? What was meant to be uh, helping us to keep our feet on the ground actually becomes something where we self-deprecate ourselves. So absolutely spot on. Thank you, Narmada. Geetha, your thoughts on what would that one piece of advice be for women who start off on their career, and what would that be?
Yeah. See, actually, all of us, when we come and play in this, if you imagine the world as a ground, and we come to play, and we want to be our passion and profession together. But time doesn't bless all of us in the similar manner. So first, what we need to understand, that if my passion doesn't turn as my profession where it generates income, let me accept the reality, whatever comes in my way, and how to sail through that, and how to convert that profession to my passion. So that's a first step, because if you start waiting, if I'm going to get a job to my liking, to my whims and fancies, many times you may not get it. So I think staying idle is not correct. So pursue your career, start the career. That's my.
Lovely. I'm reminded of, when you say this, Geeta, I'm reminded of another woman who had an absolutely amazing effect on my life. School principal. I went to Padma Sheshadri, and Mrs. YGP was our principal. I've learned a lot from her, and she would say, "What you want is not what you get. What you get is what you want." So, live live with commitment, and what you have is what you've always wanted. So I think great advice and great inputs. Thank you very much. So I have listed down a few questions, so I am going to be looking out down at my screen, so just to make sure that I ask the right questions. So I'm just going to throw it open, and I'm going to let you choose who's going to go first on this one, right? This is for people who are in the middle of their career, right? Women who are in the middle of their career, right? What have you noticed about these women who have achieved some degree of success, right? And what, according to you, would be the advice that you would give them to reflect on their career so far? And what would you say that they need to do to make their careers even more fulfilling and even more better for themselves? So I'm just going to throw it open and let you decide who's going to go first.
Geeta, do you want to take this one?
Please.
Sure. All right. So one of the things I think for a mid-career women, the most important thing I think would be is to build that strong professional network. Sometimes it's very easy to gloss over the fact that it is a 9 to 5 job. And then when I go back, I'm going to forget about work. And it's all right to forget about work, but it's very important to make that professional connection. And find a mentor. Find a mentor at work that you can talk through. It can be as simple as catching up over a cup of coffee is enough to get started. But as long as you ask questions to the mentor and share your story along the way, follow up and keep up the relationship alive, you get to start growing your network. You get to hear another side of the story, something that you've not heard, or something that you're wondering in your head, was that a correct conversation today at work? And then you're bouncing off your ideas and thoughts with another person. And then you get to hear, hey, what that happened at work today in the meeting was not a one-time thing. It is a repeat behavior. And then you get to see, like, how can I turn this to my advantage? Or how can I try to see, to make this, turn this into an opportunity and make it better? And there are so many things, so many great lessons that we learn from our peers and coworkers, and that no formal training program can provide. So, grow that network, leverage all that wisdom that is there in your peers and coworkers. Again, sticking to my previous point about be curious and be learning, blending it with the relationship and network part is very crucial, and we sometimes push it aside because we think we don't have the right time or energy to put into it.
Thank you very much, Narmatha. Geeta?
Yeah, I just would like to say, see, when the midtime career people, so you have to be the tasty stuff in between the sandwiches. So actually, you have to think about being inclusive in an organization, in a profession. So you should know how to handhold the youngsters who are coming, and how to catch hold of the seniors. So you should know how to balance it, and you should be confident, but it shouldn't result in arrogance. So many times the self-confidence is in a professional front among the women, it is misunderstood as arrogance. So you should know what type of a taste you depict in front of others to make use of. So you should be approachable for the youngsters to come to you, because you always, I think you have to be, you have to think about the, as I told you earlier, inclusive, because you need to build a team. So you need the support of everyone in an organization. So you're starting your career as an entrepreneur in that level. So that is what one needs to think and keep it in mind, I feel.
I really love that point, Geetha. That is amazing.
Sorry, Geeta.
Chinu, were you
Yeah.
able to hear?
In bits and pieces, there was some connectivity issue. So if you could just briefly give a synopsis of that, that would be useful as well, because
Okay, no
somewhere your
problem.
voice got cut off a little.
Okay, now middle level women professionals, what I feel that they have to keep being in, they have to believe in inclusive growth. They should know how to handhold the team which is coming upward, and they have to catch hold of the team who are superior to them, and they have to start working as entrepreneurs in an organization. So that is what they need to think, and they have to start thinking. They have to identify themselves with the organization as such. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, you
Okay.
are now, Geeta. Thank you very much. So, continuing on the same lines, I have a follow up question on this one. Right. Mid career is when family and societal and all those kinds of pressures start kicking in, right? Because when you're starting off on a career, then people generally tend to leave you alone, because they say that, this is a new change and people are going in their career. And then somewhere along the line, life happens. And then it becomes, like you said, you become the filling in the sandwich, right? And on one side you have work, on the other side you have the family and society and what and what not. And somewhere along the line, my experience has been that sometimes women forget to take care of themselves, and they forget to handle the pressures that they have, and that sometimes they take some choices, they make some choices that they then look back and regret. My question to you would be, how could you, in your words and in your experience, how could we avert this? Because there are some things that we cannot avoid, right? And there is something that only a lady can do, which is to make a baby. Nobody else can do that, and that is something that they have to go through, and then sometimes they have a break. So once they have children, the responsibility of a mother is a lot more than anybody else, right? So my question is, when they are in that mid career, and then when they are pushed and pulled in multiple directions, how would you, what advice would you give them so that they don't make a rash decision? And what could they do to organize themselves better such that they don't need to make a decision that they will regret? A long question, a lot of background, but I think it's worth asking this question.
Narmada, you would like to take it?
Sure, I can kick it off. Thank you, Geetha. One thing um, that we and you put it really well, about how as we progress along the career, we forget. I mean, there's so many things to handle. So what happens is we forget to take care of ourselves, um, and so in the process, it is it's you that's getting hurt in the process, right? So remember to always carve out that time for yourself, be it listening to that favorite music of yours every day, or listening to that podcast that you always love, or be it reading that book. Carve out, or maybe even just enjoying that cup of filter coffee in peace by yourself, right? Identify what makes you happy, and carve out time and create routines around that to go to your safe space to um, to get that energy back. Because now with that, if you forget to take care of yourself, then you're not able to give what you have, the best in you, to others around you. The second thing is uh, it's it's a reciprocating thing, right? So you taking care of yourself, this ends up being you being in a place that you can actually be nice and kind to others, because you don't know what kind of battle that they are fighting. You don't know if if they have a sick child back home and they've come into work and taking care of that at the same time. So take care of yourself, be kind, and nice to people, and build a good support network, a group of friends that you can lean into for any help. Be it work related, or be it talking about what happens at home, or the difficulties that you've been having trying to get your child not to watch TV. Whatever that can be, build a group of friends that you can talk and lean into and not be judged. That's very important, because sometimes women, we end up getting judged too often and too harshly, right? Like, I go talk about what my kid's doing, and what the others don't see is what I've been dealing with. But rather than, hey, you shouldn't be letting this happen in the first place. So don't judge. But try to um, push off or delay making a judgment. You don't have to make a judgment. You just have to be a listening ear in some cases. So be that support network that you look for in your in others.
Absolutely.
I just would like to add few points here. See, as far as the Indian women are concerned, there are two categories. Either one set of women who think that they are selfless, they are so happy and they take pride in sacrificing their entire life and talking about it. I have sacrificed my this, that, A, B, C, D. And the other side, the women have turned totally selfish and self-centered. I just want, I'm profession is my only thing. I don't want to look at other things. What I feel that we have to have a balancing view on the whole thing, because end of the day, man is a social animal. After all your success and achievement, when you turn around, you want genuine few individuals around you to pat you, to smile with you, or to cry with you. So, which you shouldn't forget. Maybe your family or friends or your neighbors, whoever it is. So, at any point of time, be a very good human being. And if that success doesn't give you that smile and peace of mind, no point in achieving it, and just it will be an Insta post or a Facebook post of success. So that's what I
Yeah. This is a question I haven't written down, but this is something that's coming up with me, and I think it's extremely important to address this. I was reading and multiple research papers that say that in a child's life, the mother's presence and mother's care and nurturing is most important, right? And so, how would you, what have you done in your lives, first and foremost, to be able to be there for your children? One. And what kind of things have you noticed that mothers have been able to do to be there for their children and yet be able to focus on their work? I think this would be an extremely important question to answer, and I think quite a few people would be wanting to know, because I know quite a few people who take a break because they say, being a mother is more important than anything else in the world, and they take a break. And then Rajni and my good friend Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, she actually gets people back in the workplace, right? People coming back to work. So how can we avoid that? If we can be, because I know that a mother, whenever given a choice, their children will come first. So let me not ramble.
yeah
Simple
I
question, Narmada. Geetha first and then Narmada, how would you be a mother first and yet be able to blend your career and work in? And I think,
Because,
Geetha, you have
yeah,
done that. So I'm just going to ask you to do that.
this question is a very close to my heart, because many times people have asked me, was there entrepreneurship in your blood? Was you where you plan to become an entrepreneur from your teens? Nothing of that sort. I don't know anything about entrepreneurship. The only thing I know that if when I had my children, if I have to take my children to if I have to take my daughter to an office, that office should be mine. So that was my thought, and I became the entrepreneur, to tell you very honestly. And even today, my office and my house is very close. So, because I have two daughters, one is, of course, married, and the second one is going to get married. But I never felt that, because as well as my personal side, because there is a question on that also. My husband was also, he is also an entrepreneur, and keeping one leg at home and another leg outside. But of course, we are designed as women, we are designed to take care of the children in much better way. Not that here I request all the women, don't compete with men whether they are capable, they are not taking care of all that. We have more capacity, we have more potential. And as far as being a psychologist, I feel that children need that element which is given by the nature to us. So I feel that take that space and try to balance. The only thing is, see, even today I am an MSME entrepreneur, and I have no regrets, because I have not grown like an entrepreneur like my husband, who runs a pan India business. Because quite the time taken in my business friend, probably if I would have run in the same fashion like how he did, even today I would have been a pan India entrepreneur. But no regrets, because I had to take care of the in-laws. I had to take care of because I had ailing in-laws. My mother-in-law was a cancer patient then. So small children and handling the business, but no regrets. I was able to make a mark in whatever I did. If I look back, that 2 decades of life. So I think the success of yardstick is your own yardstick. So never compare yourself with anybody else. So you just see how you were 5 years back, 10 years back, and what you are today, and go ahead with it. If I start comparing myself with the other women, then probably I will feel that if somebody goes ahead of me, I will feel bad. And if somebody stays behind me, I will feel proud. I feel both ways it is wrong. It causes a stress indirectly to us, which is not required. Sail your life in your own pace. That's it.
Thank you, Geeta. I think, that's a very interesting entrepreneurial approach to things. I'm going to ask Narmada how she's going to answer that in terms of in being in a professional career. How do we manage being a mother and all of the other societal pressures with
It's
your
a
career?
Yeah, that was really good, Geeta. I like the concept of, creating your own story because you're living in it, right? There's no yardstick that you get measured by. Um, and the most important thing of all is that it is okay to not have everything figured out, right? There was a question in the chat like, how do we not have guilt? Let's face it, you cannot do it all, right? Between full-time work, children, their activities, taking care of extended family, no one has figured out the magic formula. That's the truth, right? But it is for you to see which of these are your priorities. There are some days that there is that very important work meeting that you have to prepare for. So give yourself that um, luxury to say, okay, today I'm going to be prioritizing this because this is important. Another day you may have a sick child that needs to stay back at home. So prioritize that, and learning to prioritize is the key to getting things done. And um, there are only 24 hours in a day. So see what is important for you that day and try to take care of that first. And you will learn to balance it all. It'll come with it as long as you know what you're optimizing for in that day.
And
No,
no need to work towards getting applause in whatever you do. I request all the women, don't expect any applause for all the work you do, whether at home. See, you keep doing whatever best you can do. Sometimes you will get applause, sometimes you will not be noticed. Doesn't matter. You know that you have done it. So with that view, proceed. That's it.
I tell my clients who ask me this question, I said, how do we achieve work-life balance? I tell them that's the wrong question to ask, because balance means that it has to be equal. So I say, look for a blend. Life is what we're living, work is a part of it. Blend life and work together. And like Narmada said, optimize for and prioritize. There's one day when work will take priority, and there is one day when home will take priority. Be all right with it. And if we can find the kind of support structure, which is what we're talking about, that can support that, great. I on this note, I have a classmate of mine who runs a company in Chennai, and he invited me to come and meet up with him and his team. The first thing that I noticed was this wonderful children's play area. And the way the office is structured, one is that he has three or four ayahs, so to say, to take care of children permanently there. And the workplace is structured in such a way that there is no desk. The children can be there along with their mothers or parents. They're there. They are not sitting in a separate place. The workplace itself has a space available for children to just being around there, and people are able to work around it. And this was before the pandemic. And when I asked him, I said, don't we do this at home? We do this at home. We have children, we have other people, and we're still able to do things. So why shouldn't we have this in the workplace? So I think, if more people can take a leaf out of that book, I think it would be great.
Yeah,
And I think
very well.
we will all be a happier nation as well.
And in this context, I just want to share one more very important thing, because if you are a mother, all the women who are seeing this program, if you are a mother of boys, please start teaching the boys how to take care of the work, because only in India, the work is designed as a gender based work. Because West, I don't see. All the husbands, they keep helping the spouse, and they keep doing that in the Western world. But in India, still there are some work which women themselves, the mothers themselves, they say that their sons shouldn't do that. They have to be a man, and what is there being a man of not doing a domestic work? I really don't understand. So I feel that the mothers who have sons, please grow your son with that attitude, that if your wife is a working woman, you should know how to share the work in a domestic front. That helps most of the women, instead of sitting and reading a paper, and the women has to juggle all the work, taking care of the children, cooking, and the work, and all those things. It's a question of the support system what men can offer, then it's very fine. So that is
Absolutely, absolutely agree. The chores at home is not a gender-based activity, but it is a life skill. Like everybody needs to learn to cook. Everybody
yes.
needs to put clothes in the washer.
Yeah. And I also think that, the audience probably needs to be a different kind of audience for that specific input that you've given. That, get off your backside and do some work. Right? Don't be just sitting there reading the paper and drinking coffee. Get off your backside, do some work. Right? Absolutely agree with you. Right? So, uh, one very interesting question that I have is that, the network that Narmada you referred to, the support system that Geeta you referred to, right? What do you think? How do you think that women who are in their careers can reach out to other women who've been there, done that? Now we have this kind of a forum where we have people like you sharing your insights. On a regular day-to-day basis, the mentor, how do you think women can go about reaching out to other women who've been there and done that? One. Two, and what would be a good way to facilitate that? Would you have some thoughts on how that can happen?
Geeta, do you want
Narmada,
to take this one?
I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you to lead on this one, Narmada.
Okay, please.
Definitely. So one, like I said, building that network, right? Knowing uh, other um, female network in the organization that you're working in, and use this network to always be learning. Reach out to them, ask for feedback, and while you get feedback, like listen carefully. And when I say carefully, like don't try. It is very, very natural for us to get defensive, because when you start hearing something, a feedback or the word feedback, your brain starts kicking into this defensive cycle of, oh no, I didn't mean that, or I didn't think it came across like that. So listen fully, do not respond uh, to the person that's giving the feedback, and ask clarifying questions like, why do you think that this is what you thought about this? So keep keep an open mind, and keep your questions open ended. Like um, don't keep it closed to a point where you get defensive. And remember, it is not about you as a person, right? It is
Yeah.
they're not vilifying you as the person. It what might have prompted is about the behavior, the attitude, or even it could even be as simple as the words that may come across as without meaning what it meant. So remember, these things can all be altered, right? Who you are as a core doesn't change. And and once you listen to the other person fully, and then it is with for you to process it internally. You don't have to take everything that was given to you. Like, take what you like and take what you think is rational, and then you can leave the rest. Close the door, don't open it. And once you do that, like, take action. Like, identify what of these things are good, and what are my actions, and what are my behavior that I can change to improve on this. And once you figure that out, you circle, and then you circle back on that behavior, and then you rinse and repeat and do the same thing. So once you have that network to build that openness, and then have a feedback cycle in place, that means you're having an open mind and a growth mindset. Like, you're ready to learn, and you want to like take it to the next level, and you're not stuck in a rut where you are not making progress. And so I think,
Yes.
getting that full cycle going is not easy, but try to identify who you can do it with. Like, take it as a practice. Think about one person that you can go have this open conversation with, and then do it another time the next week. So see if you can actually get that process going.
Absolutely. When you were saying this, I just reminded of something that happened a couple of days ago, and somebody said, how do you handle criticism? I don't mind feedback, but criticism isn't good. So my response to that person was, what was the difference between the two? And who decides what is feedback, and who decides what's criticism?
It's the mental
And the person
conditioning of the word criticism. Sorry.
correct, correct. And and
Right?
and 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 the thing, Narmada, is that I have a choice, that I can choose something to be feedback always, or I can choose to take it as criticism, right? And if I change the frame on in which I'm going to receive some information, and I can choose to look at it as always being well meant. Even if the other person were intending to hurt me or insult me, I can't be insulted unless I choose to get insulted. Right? Um, so I don't want to ramble on this, but Geeta, what are your thoughts on this? Because
I
I
feel
also
that
have been told that I have a motor mouth, so I should keep my mouth shut.
No, I just want to tell all the women that the highest level of depression is now prevailing among the women. So, my humble suggestion and to all the women, speak up. You have to speak and find the rotten tomato around you. If you have 10 women, probably in your circle of friends or relatives, choose the woman who encourages you, who doesn't judge you on what you say, and who gives the right feedback on what you do. So talk to them, and if you are not able to find anyone around you, please go to seek a professional help and discuss, because we have to have, sometimes we are not we have very closed views about our own problems and issues. So unless and otherwise we come out of it and we discuss with the other person, we may not understand the situation as such. So we have to seek help. Seeking help is nothing, it doesn't lower your image or anything. And here I just would like to highlight, because the women who come to me for counseling, the professional women, they always say that why you're not able to talk to other women, because they look very happy, the way in which they post. Here I want to say that if somebody celebrates a birthday, or somebody puts a number of posts in Insta or social network, it doesn't mean that they are happy 24 by 7, 365 days. So it is just a projection what they are doing. They will have their own problems. So if you have a problem, if your mind is heavy, please seek help. Seek help. That's the most important thing. And never feel bad to seek help from others. So that's what I would like to say.
Which segues beautifully into my next question, which is that mental and emotional well-being normally is a topic that people don't talk about, and I deal quite a bit with such people, as I'm sure Geeta does as well. And ever since the pandemic, it's become a little more pronounced, so to say, right? Where I actually had one woman who said, "You know what? I love my family, but I can't stand them 24/7." Right? So it does become a little of a pain, and emotional and mental well-being takes a beating. So, what, according to you, Narmada, would be some practices that they can do? One is to reach out for help. That's already been spoken about. But what is it that, Narmada, you think that people can do to handle some of these emotional and mental well-being issues on their own, while seeking out help always remains?
Yeah. So as we were growing up and as we get older, we've always been taught to be strong and to have this strong portray a very strong outward behavior. That's what makes you that's what gives you confidence, and that's what helps you grow in your career. That's what makes you powerful. All these are very much ingrained in how we grew up and how we've been living. Uh, you know, One thing to remember is it is okay to be vulnerable. Like, when I take a piece of me, of home life with me to work, right? It is because I'm bringing my whole self into work. I can't leave how I'm feeling at home separately when I cross the threshold into office. So be vulnerable, and you open yourself to your colleagues to say, hey, this is how I felt this morning. And, these are the things that happened. And that shows, or that exposes that part of you that you sometimes forget at work. And then you start exchanging notes about how vulnerable the other person is. And, let's talk about it. That's the very first thing. The more we keep this, into ourselves, we're not being open, and we don't recognize what's happening. And sometimes just not recognizing uh, is makes it so much harder to actually acknowledge what the problem is. So I know it is very hard. Practice to be vulnerable and bring your whole self to work. And it is all right. Sometimes you don't have everything figured out, and that is quite all right. Nobody has everything figured out. So take it in your stride, and one day at a time. Right? You can't have your next 2 years, the next 5 years all mapped out. If you do, then A for you. But more often than not, we don't have it all figured out. And so take one day at a time and keep thinking about how best can you bring and make that day the best of your life.
Chinu, I'm not able to hear you. Chinu, I'm not able to hear you.
Do you have anything to add, Geetha?
Yeah, I just would like to add only one point. That is, see, as human beings, we have the natural attributes and natural behavior, and there is something known as a conditioned behavior. So, all the time, if we are going to wear a different mask, a different environment, if we continue to behave and if we are going to do artificial conditioned behavior and personality of our own, expressing our own personality, it becomes all the more stressful. So you can avoid that and you be your own self. Let people around you accept you with your plus and minus. Similarly, even
Absolutely.
you need to accept the people around you with their plus and minus. So just because
Absolutely.
you don't have a certain minus which others have, it doesn't mean that they are tolerating your minus, you need to tolerate their minus as well. So if your viewpoint, if you widen your view in this manner, it reduces your stress as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just being a little mindful of time. I think we're at 5:55, and I think I have one last question that I'm going to ask before we look at any audience questions that comes. A very interesting question. If both of you were able to meet your 20-year-old self before embarking on whatever it is that you've embarked on in life, what is that one? I'm just going to hold you on this one. What is that one simple single sentence? One sentence, not exceeding 10 words, that you would give as advice to your 20-year-old self. 10 words. I'm going to count. I'm going to put you on the spot on this one. 10 words, and I'm going to count.
Okay, never regret to be being ethical in your life, because the value system, just because
Fantastic.
you believe in value system, it doesn't. So,
Sometimes
Narmada?
sometimes it's okay to take the long scenic route.
Absolutely. I think, that was absolutely amazing. Be ethical always, and it's okay to take the long scenic route. It absolutely appeals to the motorcyclist in me. Right?
Yeah, you
The
don't have
longer you
to you don't have to go fast everywhere. Sometimes you take time figuring
absolutely,
things out.
absolutely. Festina lente, as they say. Like hurry slowly. Lovely. So I think we're out of time at this point in time. I'm just going to sum up with what I have understood from the two of you. Absolutely amazing insights. I'm going to call out the three things that I've got, and I think I will share this with my daughter as she starts off on her career as well. And I'm going to start with the two pieces of advice that you gave the 20-year-olds, right? And then I'm going to say that it's okay to be human. I think that's the most important
exactly.
uh, input that I've got from the two of you today. It's okay to be human. There is no perfect, there is no right, there is no wrong. Just be yourself. And if you do fall down, get up, dust yourself off, and get back in the game,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
I think that's been the most powerful message that I've got from the two of you. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to Rajni. You're on mute, Rajni.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I thought, I was backstage, but pretty immersed in the conversation. I'm going to do this taking the scenic route stuff because I got highly attracted to that station because every time I take a scenic route, I never realized I could have taken it when I was 20. And being a driver myself, so I think I should do that. Lot of takeaways, just not for women in the new world. It's I think it's for everyone generally. And another thing which attracted me a lot was, you know, learning the chores is a life skill. That was very powerful. And I was thinking, I have a son and I don't have daughters. If I ask my son to do something, he's going to say, "Amma, you don't have to come back home, and please don't disturb me. I'm happy being myself." So, but I never realized that it could be a life skill. And thank you, Narmada, for highlighting that. Very beautifully you put it across. Um, uh, this particular conversation, brought another very important feature, which I thought was, you know, um, every time we speak about women empowerment, or every time we speak about bringing the diversity to a certain level, we seem to be stepping down several miles before we climb that extra mile upward on our upward journey. The same conversations, but so lots to be done, more efforts to be put into the workplace, and women continue to need support. And also, like what Indra Nui said, we can't have it all, and we have to be practically blunt about it. It's okay not to have it all. It's okay, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you have, you be happy with it, and keep moving in life, is one takeaway for me. And if you're not able to prioritize, it's okay, doesn't matter. Don't stress yourself out. Life is very short. Enjoy the moment, live in the moment, make merry, eat cake, and be happy.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. Thank you, Chinu. And knowing you for more than, almost 10 years now, I know you would do a rock star duty as as a leader of a conversation, or a business coach, or an executive coach. I know you will make your mark. And I was very sure about it. And the way you had elicited some beautiful responses from both Geeta and Narmada, you did a fantastic job at that, Chino. And and Chino, he said that he wanted to get into catering, and he wanted to become a cook, and he is a super man at prioritizing his work and prioritizing his time. I've always learned that from him, and he knows what he's talking. So thank you, Chino, for being part of this 2.0 and making it interesting for us. Geeta, again, my relationship with you, my friendship with you has been for a very long time. And I know that you are a woman of substance because leading the business that you're leading, you being the managing director of a power business, is no small, and you said your husband's doing a better job and all that. I think that's been very humble of you. You've been extremely simple when you said that. I know you've been doing this business for 30 years now. Am I right? 28, 29 years. Yeah.
Almost 29, 30.
I have seen you in action at your office, and many times I've visited your place and I've seen you in action. And you've been a great leader, and I know the kind of things that you do, and the kind of changes that you brought in your business, and the kind of empowerment you give your people. Thank you, Geeta, for empowering the women and helping them out whenever they are in distress. The world needs people like you and Narmada and our sweet Chino, because we always need the other half for us to show what we are, showcase what we are. Right. So thank you, team, for helping us, and my sincere thanks to my own team, who's always there. Priyanka, Sri, Sparsha, and Niveda. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much, and we'll catch up very soon.
Thank you for this
Thank you.
wonderful opportunity.
Thank
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 you for the
you.
you. Pleasure
conversation.
is ours. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.